I found the button.
Okay, yes. All right, let me do the share sound and share. Okay, I hope you get my desktop. We'll just do the show. Start. Okay, you see my screen?
Perfect, perfect.
Okay, yeah. This is a wineforth 502, and that's a win. This is the, it should be pronounced wineforth, or you can also pronounce it wineforth. It is the ceforth on Windows. And briefly, ceforth was eforth written in C. That was a long time ago. And the ceforth -21 was written in Cygwin as the C compiler. And the Forth dictionary was generated by weforth. And then ceforth -33 was rewritten in Visual Studio 2017, and it still used the meta compiler to compile the dictionary in runtime. Okay, ceforth 403, it was written by Chochain Lee as a C++ console application in Visual Studio 2019 community. And it runs in a console window like an old-fashioned Forth program with a DOS terminal. So that's the easiest thing I can handle. But the Windows stuff, I couldn't. Chochain changed the ceforth 403 to wineforth 502. It uses a very simple window interface, which allows we enter text in an input window to be evaluated, and then output characters are sent to an output window. So it is a very simple Windows user interface, but I think it is just what we need to run Forth program. So this is this is a Visual Studio, and we have the wineforth CPP showing here. Okay, if you press the debug, run without debug, and then it will start compile and do everything, and finally you get a success message, and then it opens up the window. This is the window interface for the ceforth. So we got two big windows. On the left is the output window, and on the right is the input window. And here, default, it shows the Forth words. If you press this, if you press the return key, words get executed, and you can see all the Forth words in the dictionary. And it's right now I have 100 words in this ceforth system, and it does quite well, similarly to the original eforth. Okay, to really test this whole thing, I got this lessons text file, which has 17 lessons. And you can copy, you can select the whole file and copy it, and then paste into the input window. So here it's beginning of the the file, you see the lesson 1, lesson 2, and lesson 3. But you got the 17 lessons down underneath. And if you press any return key, if you press a return key, the whole file gets assembled. And this is the result you will see on the screen. And you see a multiplication table, and you see the calendar. I think this is July 2021. Okay, so this basically shows you that the Forth is running quite satisfactory. Okay, if you execute words again, and you can see we had 100 words on boot, and then it compiles up to 159 with all the lessons compiled. So this is the eForth running on Windows. So in summary, you see we have the Forth virtual machine, and the essence of a Forth virtual machine is it has a dictionary with all the words or objects in it, and it has an outer interpreter. It has an inner interpreter. The outer interpreter would go through text files and interpret lists of Forth words. And when you encounter a colon definition, you get a new word is compiled, and a list of Forth words is turned into one new colon word. And the inner interpreter basically interprets or executes the compiled list of Forth words or Forth objects. And of course, you have to have a return stack so that the inner interpreter can nest and unnest the colon definitions. And of course, we pass all the words, passing their parameters on the parameter stack. And we need an I/O device to accept input and display output. And here we have Windows, which would serve as the input and output device. So here in our implementation, Forth words are objects, and all primitive words, outer interpreter, inner interpreter, they are all written in an object-oriented language. And so far we have, I would say 5 different implementations now. We have it jeforth for the JavaScript, ooeforth for Java, and ceforth on C++, and wineforth with Windows interface. And they are very tight, all these things, because all the primitives, everything's written out in the underlying C compiler or any Java compiler. So the Forth system is very simple, very small. And the jeforth has only about 280 lines of code. And so I thought, these are poetry, okay? And they are very tight, very beautiful when you look at the source code. When we implement the move, when I asked Chochain to move ceforth into Windows, the other goal is to move it into the ESP32. And because what we have on ESP32 is the ESP32 eForth. And now looking back at ESP32 eForth, was pathetic. Okay, it's just terrible. And Chochain had already ported eForth 403 to ESP 8266 and also ESP32. And the new ESP32 Forth is just beautiful. And I have it here to show you. It is running. So the wineforth Saga Two. This is a story taken from an old Chinese folklore. And two quarrelsome frogs live in a deep well, and they heatedly debated how big the sky was. With objective observations and accurate measurements, they finally agreed that the sky was circular and 5 feet in diameter. Okay, so I have a nice Chinese painting. You see down here, that's me and that's Chochain. We are arguing about how big the sky was. Okay, me and Chochain were these frogs in a well called Forth. We argued how big the sky was. After all the work, we decided the sky was 1080 pixels wide and 680 pixels high. And that's Windows. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, let me, I couldn't resist the temptation to show you this ESP, the new ESP Forth. Let me just get out of this screen. Okay, and here is the new ESP Forth. Don and Brad, you have to look carefully. Okay, so it is on a web page. Okay, so I have this board connected to my local network, and it has the address 192.168.42.7, and it shows the screen. And on this screen, I can do words. And you got words. And I got the two LEDs there. So I just turn off the big white LED, 116 out. Okay. Okay, you see the first LED light turned off. I had to turn on. Let me just turn on the blue LED, the default LED. So that's -1, 2, out. Yeah, I have the blue LED there. So that's how you operate this thing. So Don, you see, I got this 4 LEDs. These are meant to drive the robot, but I still I have to have that robot yet. Okay, but this ESP4 is ready for your robot. Okay, now it has a nice, beautiful interface on the PC. It's a web page. Okay, thank you very much. Any comments? Any questions?
I have several questions.
Okay. Let me just stop share first. Okay, yes.
Beautiful stuff. So first, my questions will be on the wineforth, and then we'll talk about the ESP32. So
Mhm.
on the wineforth, is there any limitation on memory or the width of the data? Is it 32? Is it 64 bits wide?
Yeah, all the all versions of eForth so far are 32 bits, except the JavaScript eForth. The JavaScript eForth is a floating point, okay? But all other ones are 32 bits.
Is there a maximum memory size in the Forth
Oh, I
environment?
don't know. I don't know. I tried, but I haven't hit the limit yet. Okay, you can compile as many things as you wish. Okay, so here on my lessons example, I compiled about 60 words in a file which is about 10K 10K big. So and I haven't seen any limit yet.
How about making a little test word where you allot this massive amount of memory, like a gig of memory, and then write into it and right into the end of it and read back and see does it work or not?
No, I think the you cannot access RAM memory through these systems because the operating system wouldn't allow you. Okay, but you can declare a big array object. Okay, so I haven't seen any limit on the size of the array that you can declare. So basically, you cannot access memory directly. You just have to create an object, an array object, and allocate space to that object. Okay, I haven't tried to allocate very big arrays. I only allocate the five elements into an array. But so far, there's no limit as to how big the array the system can tolerate. Okay, but I don't know.
Of course, my interest is in AI. So
Yes.
what would be interesting is to use this system for some super AI type. Like Dimitri wrote Prologue.
Mm-hmm.
At least some of the core features of Prologue already in Forth, and we could use your system that can have this huge Forth app and do a lot of AI inside of it. So that's what.
Yeah, definitely, because this thing is now objects. Okay, object oriented. So there's a different objects. All Forth words are objects, and colon words are objects, and the data words, constant, variables, and arrays, they are all objects. And you declare the object, and you put data in it, and you manipulate it any way you want. So I think it's perfect for AI applications. There's no limit as to how many objects you can create, or how big the data structures in an object has to be. But I think for ESP32, we have to worry about it.
Sure.
Because we do have limits on the RAM memory, and we do have limits on the flash memory. Okay, so we have to worry about them. But at this moment, it doesn't seem to have any limitations so far. The C++ compiler in Arduino seem to work beautifully, just as any other C++ compilers. So so far, I haven't seen much limitation on what these C compilers can do.
So we could Could we take this new eForth and compile it to a target micro and build an embedded system?
Oh yes, this is the embedded system.
So you could
It's
make
not
it for
really-
Linux.
Hmm?
You can make it for Linux. If we had a specific target processor that had a compiler, you can just compile it and go.
No problem, because
Wow.
it is now in the C++. So we have already moved it from C++ console application in the Visual Studio, moved to a Windows application. So we open up the Windows, and then we have already moved it on ESP, and the ESP would request when you connect it to on the network, it will request the opening of this nice Windows interface, and you can you can stuff code into it any way you want. So I think it is ready for ESP. And if you want to move it onto other system, it will be very easy because it is all on the C++ now.
So I guess, Brad, are you online there?
Hey there.
Hey,
Okay.
how's it going? So a quick question. You're probably pulling your hair out, even contemplating switching forths, but I have to still ask the question, if over time, does it is it very difficult to take what you've done, you know, that we're supplying the group right now, or is this kind of something we say, okay, this is something new for different applications, and the training still is on what you've developed?
I think it depends on our, I mean, I suspect that Peter will be relatively allergic to pivoting the group, just because even my
agree.
updates to it have been sort of perceived as unnecessary churn. So even adding features to what's there sort of is at odds with his goals. I do want to understand in terms of, I mean, Dr. Ting, I mean, like the micro eForth is also portable and runs in Linux and Windows, and there's a console version of it. I don't have that interconnection between the external version, but for sort of a tethered mode. But that's an interesting idea. What's the interface look like for reaching out and interacting with Win32, for example, on the Windows one? Is it all sort of still inside of that eForth virtual machine, or is it sort of able to reach out and touch the outside?
Yeah.
And if you could try to make it converge, and we can get on to the next speaker. Go ahead, Ting. Sorry.
In any event, some definitely things to consider, and good to have options. I think Don, to your question though, for pivoting the group, I think we could have a conversation with Peter, but I suspect that, you know, given that he was asking me to have a stable version and you know, less churn even with what was there, I think that we'll have challenges for that group. And I think it's different goals, right? Once we have a device running on a robot, I think that's a different set of goals than maybe the goals of Peter in that group. So
Yeah, I think this ESP4 is extremely good for our group. Okay, the interface is much simpler, much more powerful. Okay, and it's much better if you want to develop embedded systems. Okay, so I will send you guys a copy of the system in its current shape. Okay, and I will also send it to Peter. I'm temporarily labeled it as ESP32 Forth 8.02. Okay, but it's up to you. It's up to you.